My boss asked me to train my replacement. He didn't realize I was the only one who knew how the system worked. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning at 9:12. Subject line, transition plan. Inside was a short message from my manager. Starting next week, you'll begin transferring your responsibilities to Daniel. He'll be taking over your role moving forward. No meeting. Just a polite sentence that quietly ended 3 years of work. I stared at the screen for a minute. In corporate life, decisions like that rarely come out of nowhere. Usually someone above your manager decides your position is too expensive or no longer strategic. What caught my attention wasn't the replacement. It was the word responsibilities. Because technically my job title was systems operations analyst, but the actual work I did was very different. 3 years earlier, when I joined the company, our operations software barely functioned. It was supposed to track inventory, automate order processing, and generate shipping reports. Instead, it crashed constantly. Reports produced incorrect numbers. Orders disappeared in the queue. No one knew why. The original developers had already left the company, and the documentation looked like it had been written during a power outage. So I started fixing things. At first, it was small scripts, little patches that corrected data errors or restarted frozen services. Then it grew. I rewrote parts of the reporting system, built automated checks that repaired broken records overnight, created tools that reconciled inventory data between 3 different databases. None of it was officially part of my job, but after a year, the system worked. Orders flowed smoothly. Reports matched real inventory. Management loved the results. But the system itself? It still ran on a collection of invisible fixes only one person understood. Me. Which is why the train your replacement email felt strange. Daniel arrived the following Monday. Nice guy, smart, fresh MBA, very confident. My boss introduced us in a quick hallway conversation. Daniel's going to shadow you for a couple weeks, he said. Then he'll take over. Daniel smiled and shook my hand. Looking forward to learning the system, he said. I smiled back. Absolutely. That afternoon we sat down at my desk. I opened the operations dashboard. This, I said, is where most people think the system lives. He nodded. But it's not? Not really. I showed him the first script. A small background process that corrected order timestamps every 10 minutes. Without it, shipping schedules broke. Then the second script. It checked inventory mismatches between 2 servers. Without that one, the warehouse would ship items the system believed didn't exist. Daniel leaned closer to the screen. How many of these are there? He asked. I scrolled through the folder. 47. His eyebrows went up slightly. And these are documented somewhere? I shook my head. Not really. Over the next few days, Daniel started to understand what he had inherited. The official system looked simple, but underneath it was a web of quiet corrections. Scripts restarting failed services. Workarounds built to keep old software talking to newer systems. None of it appeared in the company manuals, because none of it officially existed. By Thursday afternoon, Daniel looked less confident. He sat back in his chair. So if these scripts stopped running, he said slowly, orders would start failing, I replied. How quickly? Probably within a few hours. He nodded, absorbing that. Then he asked the question everyone eventually asks. Why didn't the company fix the actual system? Cost, I said. Replacing it would take a year and millions of dollars. So instead, they hired one person who quietly kept it alive. He was silent for a moment. Later that day, my boss stopped by. How's the training going? He asked cheerfully. Daniel hesitated. It's more complex than I expected. My boss waved a hand. Every job feels complicated at first. Daniel looked at him carefully. Do you know how many background processes keep the system running? My boss blinked. Processes? Scripts, Daniel said. Automations, fixes. My boss looked at me. How many? 47, I said. The smile slowly faded from his face. Daniel turned his laptop toward him. If these stop, he said, operations break within hours. My boss stared at the screen, then at me. You built all of this? Over time. He didn't say anything for a moment. Finally, he asked the question that should have come months earlier. Is anyone else trained on this? No. The room went very quiet. The next morning, I received another email. Subject line, update. After reviewing the system architecture, we've decided to postpone the transition plan. No apology, just a quiet correction. Daniel moved to another department 2 weeks later. And something interesting happened after that. My boss started asking more questions about the systems that ran his department. Apparently, he had learned something important. Sometimes the most replaceable looking employee in the room is the one quietly holding the entire operation together.